classroom, like a 6th, 7th, 8th grade science class.
Yeah. I really hear and respect what you're saying, because I think I've talked with so many administrators that are like, we're doing a makerspace next year. And I'm like, great. Like, what kinds of professional development are you offering for your teachers so that all of them feel that that space is theirs? And sometimes I'm met with like, yes, we have a plan. And sometimes I'm met with like, well, we got a laser cutter. And I was like, right, but a laser cutter does not a makerspace make. It's a mindset, it's an ethos, and it's a bunch of teachers who all feel like that's their space that they can go in and be in. It doesn't actually take expensive stuff. Like, makerspaces can be pretty low tech. If you've got piles of cardboard and ideas and you've got teachers who feel empowered to use that space, there's your makerspace,
and allow the time for it.
Yeah, and time. Oh my gosh, time. I think that's actually something that I'm encountering with a lot of people who are learning from home right now, is like, in school, it's really hard to do anything for longer than like 30 minutes, 20 minutes. You've got an hour-long class period, but really it's only 50 minutes. And that's 5 minutes of your kids coming in and 5 minutes of them looking at the clock and not paying attention anymore. And so it's really 40 minutes, but then you've got your engagement strategy and then your wrap-up session. So it's really 30 minutes of teaching. And just like your time gets like nibbled away at. But we're at home now. Like, if we start a project here during, one of our bird brain classes, like, I've been really encouraging people to like start something on a webinar and then go finish it. You've got a couple hours, sometimes you do, sometimes you have another meeting or whatever, but kids' time is their own and they get to make choices with how they spend it in a way that I don't think kids have gotten to do for like generations. And now suddenly globally, kids get to choose what they spend their time on. So I think for us teachers, that's both like they don't have to do this. Like, okay, so what do they want to do? And how do we make that educational? It's sort of a challenge for teachers, and I think a real opportunity too, of just like, you've got time. What do you want to do with it? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so Tanya has just said that she's been watching all these classes to kind of improve how she's teaching. So I'm glad. That's great. I think Becky wanted to introduce herself real quick too. Do you want to introduce yourself, Becky? I'll let you unmute yourself real quick.
Sorry.
You're good.
I was actually just scratching my head, but I will introduce myself. My name is Becky.
Careful with your hand movements on a Zoom call, friends. You volunteer for things real fast.
Sorry about that. But I'm a STEM teacher at a 5A middle school. So I do coding, robotics, engineering, project lead. So
yeah. I love Project Lead the Way. Project Lead the Way is great. They actually have this really cool middle school. It's like creating with computer science or something like that uses the microbit. Do you do that?
I teach that. Yeah,
cool.
Computer science for innovators and makers.
What is it called? Say that again.
Computer science for innovators and makers.
Okay, that's the program.
Oh, Project Lead the Way.
Project Lead the Way. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to just talk a little bit about what Project Lead the Way is, Becky? Because I think there's a lot of teachers that use that, and then there's teachers that do Project Lead the Way and then kind of tie Hummingbird or Finch into that. Yeah.
And that's what I do. It's Project Lead the Way is just a curriculum, essentially almost like a packaged curriculum that they give you, that you agree to use certain things, strategies, project-based learning techniques, and it's really great. I like the curriculum a lot. It's just I've been teaching it now for 4 years, and I'm trying to incorporate new things and do more of the projects earlier, and just to increase engagement. Everyone's really engaged. They're really fun, hands-on classes, and 3 of my 4 classes that I teach are Project Lead the Way.
Yeah, I talk with a lot of teachers who Project Lead the Way can be a great solution as an administrator for, I'd really like to have a greater push towards STEM in my district, but I don't feel like my teachers, they don't have that background, or they're not sure where to start with that. So it's a great sort of like framework to build on. And the way that I see it being used best is exactly that, as a scaffold that teachers can kind of use as a trellis to grow up, if I can make a tomato metaphor, I guess. But some schools that I've encountered, the teachers, if their district requires them to really stick to it and doesn't let them riff on it a little bit, I think with any curriculum, if that's any district's approach to a curriculum, that can end up feeling really limiting. But as long as, with any curriculum, but just using that as a framework to, all right, I'm going to try this STEM activity. Oh, that was cool. For next year, I think I'd like to add, and then like using that as something to grow from. Project Lead the Way is, I speak with so many districts and teachers that work with that. Oh, we have someone else joining in as well, so I'll admit this person. This person's name is Kyle Kitchen. He's a really cool teacher and maker from New York/Canada. He's going to connect audio. That's great. While he's connecting, I think, Tina, did you have your hand up before? Do you want to introduce yourself just briefly?
Sure. My name is Tina, and I teach in Harrisburg City, Pennsylvania. I teach K-12 gifted, and also I do a 3rd and 4th grade STEM. I got the first Cal Ripken funded STEM center in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So It's pretty cool. It deals with 3rd and 4th graders, and we have all kinds of things. I'm just trying to piece it together. Like you said, there's like no real curriculum, especially in the cities. They have police categories with STEM. And so I'm trying to pull it in because they keep cramming math and language arts, English, math and reading, PSSA scores. So the STEM piece, I keep trying to show them that you can incorporate all of it together with writing. When they do the projects, then they do the writing piece with it. So that's the battle I'm having, at least.
So that, I think a lot of teachers feel that pain point too. I think that's as you were talking, that made me think of one of the things that I do when I do live PD is I ask teachers, like, why do you think it's important to do robotics? Or maybe it's important, maybe it's interesting, maybe it's just fascinating, but like, which of these are resonating with you guys? And then can you speak to that a little bit? So we've got like, why teach robotics? Like problem solving, jobs, joy, creativity, digital citizenship, 21st century skills, grit, equity. Which of these are speaking to you guys? Oops. I just muted someone. I apologize if you were trying to speak when I muted you. I'll unmute everybody. So does anybody want to speak to any of these that work with you? So Katie says problem solving and creativity. Can you talk about that a little bit, Katie? Why is that important for you?
I mean, I think they're all important, obviously.
There's no right answers, no wrong answers, just personal answers.
Exactly. But those are the two that kind of popped out, and they fall into 21st century skills and grit to some extent. But I mean, I just think these two together can be really powerful, especially coming from an engineering and science and math background. It's a lot of problem solving, but I think when I think about my own learning in high school and in college in a pretty standard engineering program, there was not as much creativity that I would have really liked to have seen. And the design thinking, had I learned design thinking when I was in engineering school, getting either my bachelor or master's, it just would have made a whole new world for me. So I think I like those two together a lot, actually. So that's why I thought about those off the top of my head.
Looks like Tanya really identified with both problem solving and grit. Do you want to speak to that? Why that feels important for you, Tanya?
Especially grit. I notice a lot of students, when things get hard, they tend to kind of give up. And I think that trait needs to be developed more, to stick with it and try different solutions. A lot of times I think kids, I don't know, I think failure sometimes, they just kind of like, okay, I'm done. I tried it and I'm done, but they don't really ever get to that ending point because they give up before they even get started.
Well, I mean, for me, I don't necessarily think that that's like kids like personal failures. I think that that's in some ways the way that the system has been set up. Like, what do you guys think? In what ways has our system been set up to teach kids that if they fail, they should give up and they shouldn't pursue that line of thinking anymore? How do you think that the way that school is traditionally set up doesn't support grit, that it supports like giving up and walking away when things get hard?
Traditional testing, the way our testing is, it's either right or wrong. There's no going back and recircling to get the right answer.
Yeah. I mean, especially when it's like, go ahead, Tina.
I think that's why I say in science class, this is the place you can be wrong. Because as a scientist, that's where you need to investigate. You're a scientist, and I give them little lab coats to put on. And so that's where they're okay. Well, it didn't work. Okay, we'll figure another way.
Yeah.
And kind of taking that. Okay, this isn't math or reading. This is now science. So we can be wrong. We need to come up with an alternative or a solution. And you really see them start to investigate so much more. But I agree with Tanya. It's either right or wrong, and if it's not that, then they're done. They just quit.
And if you get it wrong, unless you did really, really bad, you don't retake the test. You just got it wrong.
Right.
You know, you don't go back and try it again. And especially like the way that we have to do it, because we have 25 kids or 30 kids in our class. You know, we don't have time to get everybody to go back and do it until they really learned it and move on. Like, we got another unit to do. You got to go to your next class. We've got to fit this in before the test, you know. And so I think when we're doing STEM and robotics, and when we're trying to teach coding and teach some of these like 21st century skills and teach grit, like, it's really important to build time in there, time to try it again, regardless of whether or not you failed. If you got it to work, great, try it again. I bet you can do it better. You know, I bet you can learn something by trying this thing again. So that's one of the things that I really liked about teaching with Hummingbird when I was first doing it, is that I was doing it in after school, and I left teaching in the classroom after a couple of years because I felt so limited by that time. I'd been doing after school and summer camps and day camps and stuff where, man, during a summer camp, when I'm in charge of a room, that's me and 20 10-year-olds for 8 hours. And my job is just to make sure they're alive at the end of it. And the rest of it is up to me. And that's so great, right? And that was the kind of freedom that I was used to. And then I was like, wait, I have 48 minutes and 25 kids, and they're coming through like this, and I'm responsible for their entire development of language? That's like so much to put on a lady, right? I was a first-year teacher too. So, I mean, I was very overwhelmed by that. But so, I mean, I went back to after school and did after school. And I loved that our time could accordion a little bit, because originally our Hummingbird project was supposed to be 2 weeks, you know, and then they loved it. So I was like, well, let's keep doing it next week. And well, next week, I'm not going to like make my girls who are loving computer science and engineering, I'm not going to say no to more, right? So it ended up being a 6-week project that first week, twice a week for an hour, you know, but for 6 weeks because they just loved it. So I was like, yes, that thing didn't work. Try it again. We'll do it again on Monday. Yep, we're going to keep going on Wednesday. Yep, let's keep going on Monday. And for the people who got done early, I was like, well, add a tail. You know, that tail's not doing anything. It's just sitting there. That's boring. It should move. You know, it was a great tool for me to use as a differentiation tool, because they could always do more, but it gave the kids who were struggling time to struggle through and succeed, and the kids who were finding success to struggle with something new, you know, and find more success somewhere else. So it was a great tool for me to use for that. Does anybody else want to talk to any of these, speak to these, how these are really resonating with you? And what is your name? Your Zoom name is
sorry, yeah. First time using Zoom. My name's Brian. I'm actually from Ireland, so they're not widely used over here. But I done an internship a couple of years back with what was the name? Katie.
Katie Henry.
She introduced us to them, and like, yeah, basically the courses, like I teach engineering, basically it's called now. They're changing our curriculum a lot. So I'll be teaching engineering, design, and stuff like that. And they're really pushing towards using microbits, for introducing coding as a sort of control technology. But I'm really an advocate of the Hummingbird kits, because I think that they're a great stepping stone from saying no nothing to going straight into being able to basically use code and apply it to control, say a mechanism or a toy or an object or something like that. And just on the street there, I think what is it? The problem solving is definitely one. Jobs is definitely another one, because the 21st century skills is actually a big one. The joy and creativity, they all come into it too. Like, but I mean, I'm 20 miles down the road from Dublin, and there's Google, there's Facebook, there's Microsoft, Twitter, all the big tech companies are there, but the kids really aren't that really interested about getting jobs with them for some reason. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to,
well, you know, they're kids. They're like, I want to have fun, you know, and they should. But also, let's have fun in a way that can like lead to something later on.
That's very true actually. And to be honest, when I started off doing it as a sort of an after school kind of club, a robot club, and a few lads used to come in, and these guys would be kind of into computers and stuff, and they used to come in and we used to make miniature robots. And then I was asked to do it as a sort of a taster module for our TY class, which are say 15, 16-year-olds, and you know, I take them through an 8-week module and basically get them to make something similar to, say, the robotic zoo, you know, the cardboard and stuff. And that was all new to me because I'm more used to working with, say, harder materials like, you know, your metals and your acrylics and stuff like that. But it was a great way to introduce them to just making stuff as well. And they were getting a great now too. Like, it was good, you know, you'd be able to actually, when you look at it, you'd be incorporating all those elements into your 8-week module course, like, you know, whether it was intentional or not, like, you know.
Well, and I want to speak to something that you said too. You said you started with an after school program and then they asked you to bring that into school. And I see that with so many teachers who work with Hummingbird. They'll like use it as an experiment with an after school class, or maybe with like the gifted and talented class or something like that. And the principal or somebody will see it. The teacher will put it out in the hallway and somebody will be like, oh, what's that? Can I do that? Yeah. So like teachers doing innovative things with hummingbirds, like is the driving force behind why this company works. You know, same thing with finches too. Teachers doing cool things with robots is like how this entire company grew. It was, I mean, it started as a research project at Carnegie Mellon, and Tom Lowers, Dr. Tom Lowers, wasn't a doctor then. He was just Tom. He was almost a Dr. Tom Lowers. And he was researching how to engage girls specifically in coding, And they found that there were like 3 factors that really mattered. There was make it physical. So take the coding off the screen and make it real in the real world. And that really engaged girls more so than just coding on a screen. So robotics. And the second one was give them meaningful creative choices. So like, do you want your robot to be pink? It's not a meaningful creative choice. It's a creative choice. It's not super meaningful, but like, what animal do you want to make? What do you want the finch to do? What color do you want the nose to be? But also, what direction should it turn? How will it navigate this maze? Things like that. Like those meaningful creative choices matter. And then the third factor, which can be used with both hummingbird and finch, was the craft supplies and the supplies you put out for them to build with also really mattered to their engagement, right? If they haven't seen it before, if they don't know what that 3D printer thing is, if they're afraid they're going to break it, they don't want to use it. But like pipe cleaners, they know how to use those. Craft sticks? Yes. Friendship bracelet string? Girls know how to work some friendship bracelet string. So like the supplies that you put out matter to students' engagement. So what students are you trying to serve? What are they familiar with? Put that stuff out. And some kids will say, a robot? Yeah, I'll do that. Some kids will say, I don't know what that is, but I know what this pipe cleaner is. So I'm going to make a thing out of pipe cleaners. And you're telling me I can make that move? Okay, now they'll like pick this up. But for a lot of kids, those craft supplies can be the gateway, and the art and the choices that they can make there can be that gateway. So, I mean, on that note a little bit, so we had a couple of classes this week where we did a class about box puppets, and then we did a class about recycled rovers as well. So if I can zoom in on this guy a little bit. Oh, let's see, which one is it? So this one? Yeah, it's this one. So here's my little box puppet. So just to kind of explore, the other way, just to explore how this works. This is a box made out of an eye mask that my friend got me as a Christmas present. Great. That I saved because I knew it was like a great box. But so the way that this works is there's a little string here. And as you pull on the string, that opens the bottom lip. And if you were just making the puppet version, you could pull the string from the bottom here because we poked a little hole, kind of looks like a belly button hole at the moment. But you pull on the string and that opens the mouth. But when you attach it to a hummingbird and put a motor in there, now as the servo horn of the motor turns, that is what opens and closes the mouth. But we hooked this up not only to a Hummingbird, but also to remote coding. So I know that there were a few people who are on this call who were in this class, but would anybody like to try and code this little robot from wherever you are, whether it's Amsterdam or Ireland or are you in Canada or New York, Kyle? Canada. He points up. Canada. That's great. And I might have put Matt on the spot a little bit. Do you have that ready to go, Matt?
Not yet.
Okay, so Matt's going to get that ready to go. But
right,
just to speak
Put
to
it
that
forward.
oh, is it good?
I'll have it up.
Okay, he's going to work it. And then he'll we'll get that link, the NetsBlots link, and we'll put that in the Zoom chat. But if you want to try to remote code it, what you should do is resize your screens a little bit so that over on one side you've got Zoom, so you can see us and you can see the robot, and over on the other side you've got Chrome, and so you can have that pulled up. Because we're going to give you a link, and you should open that link in Chrome, and then you, from wherever you are, can code our robot here in the studio. But okay, so this is a cute little project, and you'll kind of see how it works once we get it going. But like, how and why would you teach this? Does anybody have anything that's like popping up for them? Like, how would you use a project like this, like a string-powered box puppet, in a class that you might teach, or a unit that you might teach in English or science or engineering or anything like that? Sounds good, Kyle. Good seeing you.
Yeah, I mean, a story, something along the lines of creating some type of, I don't know, some type of storytelling unit, or something along the lines of creating your own character and putting them in different situations, and what would they say. And
this could be a biography project. So research somebody famous and make this look like somebody famous. Right now, this is sort of a Charlie Chaplin. This would be a Charlie Chaplin biography project. Could be an autobiography project. Make a box avatar of yourself. And then as you'll see, there's a little reveal in this box puppet. So maybe something else moves, so the mouth moves and you can talk along with it. But maybe it also reveals something about you that you'd like to share with everybody. But maybe it's a character project from a story that you're doing. You're reading To Kill a Mockingbird and you pick a character, and then this has to somehow represent the character that you're talking about. So anything that you can, any project that you could do with a drawing or with a diorama or something, you can do with a hummingbird too. So a character project like this could be great for that. Oh, and what other ideas do you guys have about how you could do that? Yeah, Regina.
Last year I did something with Makey Makey. It was a autobiography project, so they created their own, and I did it in February, March for Black History Month, and then Women's History Month. So now I'm thinking next year, instead of Makey Makey, we can use the hummingbird.
Yes, and just to note, Hummingbird works with Makey Makey as well. If you hook your Hummingbird up through like Snap, and you can do like anytime you press the space bar, the mouth opens. But then if you hook up a Makey Makey to your computer, the Makey Makey replaces your space bar and your arrow keys and potentially some other keys as well. So it could be that when you press the space bar, the mouth opens and closes. Or when you press this thing, like this banana, let's say you draw out a thing and you've got a banana for a smile and you press the banana and that opens the mouth. You could do some really cool things syncing your Makey Makey and your Hummingbird up through Snap. And that would be a really fun project too. So you don't have to get rid of Makey Makey by any means. It's a cool tool. It's an awesome tool. You can add on to it, just like we were talking with Project Lead the Way. Like, that's your scaffold. Now grow taller, Tomato Regina. Has anybody else here used Makey Makeys before in their classrooms? Yeah. Cool. Any other ideas that you have for this guy about how you could use that in your class or in your school or as a tool for engagement for your kids?
Hey, just for the computer science part of it, or the coding aspect, inputs and outputs. I mean, so just not so much even content necessarily like in English, language arts, or some of those other things, but just to learn.
Yeah, just to learn the computer science, like
similar to a computer, you've got inputs and outputs.
Right.
It's a lot of fun to do it that way.
You could change it around. This doesn't have any sensors on it right now, but you could change it around so that there is a sensor on it, so that as you get close to it, the mouth opens and it yells or something. In the Zoom window, we just shared a Netsblocks file with you guys. So you'll probably need to copy it. Make sure you copy the whole thing and then paste it into your Chrome window. And like I said, you'll want to resize your windows so that they look like, I'm going to steal the mouse back for a second. Oops, that didn't open the whole thing.
In the chat?
It's in the Zoom chat. We only sent it to the waiting room. Will you send it to everybody in the thing, Matt? We were trying to talk to somebody in the waiting room before, so we had that.
I wanted to mention too, like, when you think about, so when I think about the units that we just did in my student teaching, we did earth science, like plate tectonics, now we're doing ecology, right? And so there's a certain amount of standards you try to get through and the content, and you want to make it interactive. And this is where I struggle with, I wish there was a class that was not called science, but rather a STEM class. And that's what I wanted to ask Becky. Do you teach is it basically a design class, or like the kids still go to science, they still go to math, so this is the thing about bringing making into every classroom. It's like, to do something like that, which I love, it's just that I've got to justify the amount of time that it's going to take for the kids to learn all of this and then do a biography about Alfred Wegener, or something. You know what I mean? Like, I struggle with this.
How do you justify the time
into my classroom if I'm not the design teacher or the librarian that's doing it integrated? Like, if I'm just doing straight up middle school science, we're doing investigations, we're doing, when am I going to be able to integrate into, but Tina, you're probably doing more of that, I guess.
Do you want to speak to that a little bit, Tina? Yeah.
I know the school that I taught at, we taught on a theme. So each of us would take a piece of it, and then someone would do the writing piece, someone would do the robotics piece, like you would do the whole science piece, and everyone did a piece that we came out with one final product, and it was amazing. And they were the kids' favorite projects that they did and what we would do is we'd break it down from 5th through 8th grade, and we'd put 8th graders with 5th graders because 8th graders would teach the 5th graders. And it was amazing to watch the continuity and the working together and teaching the younger kids. And the projects were phenomenal. I mean, we did amazing things. Like, I wish we had this back when we did the biomes. We could have had walking ducks and, everything looked so real. We did the biomes in the hall and took from the ceiling to the floor, the whole length of the hallway, and would give a tour. And it was amazing. But now, if we would have had this type of stuff back then,
could have really bumped it up a notch. So I want to connect something that you asked before, Katie, because I know you just finished your education in teaching and you're like looking for a place to teach. And one of the things you said was how do I find the kind of school I want to go to? What Tina just spoke to is huge. Like a school that encourages and supports collaboration between teachers. I know one of the things that was the worst. Yeah.
I don't know if everyone could agree with you, but it's really like what you described
is amazing. Right.
Guess what? They did away with it.
Oh, they did away with it.
Because everyone and our kids, like we had kids going to Harvard, and our school is been taken over by the state basically. And so here was a prime example. We had the kids going to the schools, and then someone comes in with a brilliant idea, and it's all about, like Tanya said, reading and math. If they got to get
reading and math, drill and kill, drill and
words were amazing.
Skill. Yeah.
Or maybe it's just this. Maybe it'll swing back. The pendulum will swing back to more integrated learning and cross curricular. But okay, I don't want to take too much time. But that's what I struggle with, because it does take the team of teachers that will. The math teacher sitting down with the science teacher sitting down with the English teacher and talking about the full unit and how they can benefit on each other's time. Yeah.
And how what you're doing in English class can benefit the math teacher a little bit, right? Like if the math teacher is doing something about angles or something like that, well then I'm gonna go ahead and take time to do this character project in English class, knowing that this is the best thing for my students because we're talking about angles in English class that'll get them to math class. And maybe you do a little, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Hey, math teacher, what you gonna read today? Like how could we help each other out here a little bit? You don't have to sound like a 50s mobster when you do it, but I encourage it. Okay, so you want to set your screen up basically so it looks like what I've done here. So you want to have the code on one side and the our Zoom screen on the other. I'm going to scooch this guy back here so we can see him better. So who wants to try and do remote coding first? Raise your hand. Everybody can do it. Equal opportunity. Have you gotten to do it yet, Becky? I know you've been in on so many of these webinars.
I haven't, but you'll have to call and sponsor first because I didn't. Usually I've got it up on 2 computers so I can do it on the other one, but since there's not an email, I'll have to.
Yeah, sorry, we didn't send it an email ahead of this time.
No big deal. I just will need to do
Yeah.
that real quick. So
that's all right.
wants to go?
Who else wants to try it? Do you want to try it, Regina?
Sure, I'll try it.
Okay.
I actually, for a change, can see the code this time.
That's great.
Black box. So
that's great.
Whatever changed.
we fixed something. That's good.
You fixed
so
something.
To connect to it, you're gonna look at your keyboard and hit the C key on your keyboard, and then that little arrow should say connected. Great. All right. Let's see. Go ahead and hit the space bar and see what happens. Oh, it's this. Wait.
Surprise!
Surprise! We have a different thing connected. You just made the robot hit his head against the wall. So you were coding. It was just very destructive.
Let me get this right.
That's gonna disconnect and reconnect. I did not prep him for the fact that I was gonna try this with you guys today. Normally we're like all set up for it, but I was just like, Matt, haha, do it. Sorry. I appreciate you very much, Matt. This is an idea I had in my head and just forgot to communicate with the team. This is why collaboration is really important. There we go. Okay, so disconnect for me if you would, Regina. Hit the X key on your keyboard and disconnect. And then hit the C key again and reconnect. Does it say connected?
Connection restarted.
Cool. All right, now hit the space key and let's see what happens. There you go. So it opens and closes its mouth, but it stops after a little while. Why did it stop? Can you look at the code and explain to us why it stopped?
The space bar repeat 4 times, so I'm guessing 4 times is going to open and close its mouth.
Yeah, so hit that space key again and show us that so it does that. It goes to 2 different angles with a half-second wait in between, but it only does it 4 times and then it stops. But also the arrow keys do something too. So try the up arrow key and see what happens. So there's a little something revealed about this character. So that makes his hat come up. And then the down arrow key puts it back. So actually change the angle on the down arrow key. Right now it only goes to 110 degrees, but it can go all the way to 180. So type 180 in there and then hit the down arrow key and see where it goes. Oh, there we go. So that's all the way down. That's why we didn't put it all the way down. And then if you hit 0, it'll go all the way back up again. All right, so you can kind of mess with those and mess with some different angles and try that out. Yeah, there's up, right? So we this was one of our projects this week, doing a little box character like this. Let's just give a round of applause for Regina. Very nice. Also a round of applause for Matt, because he did that very quickly for me. So also the other project we did, or does anybody have any other questions about this one? Because there's another project I want to show you too. Does anybody have any questions about this guy or any other ideas about how you might teach with something like that? Okay, cool. I will say too that the engineering of this thing, one of the problems that I had to solve was that the box, when the mouth was opening and closing, the box was like distorting and like going like and like bending in these really terrible ways. And so what I did, if I'll move my hat back, I basically stuffed this whole project with little cardboard shims, little pieces of cardboard to basically fill the box with cardboard, because the box kept moving. So I made the box into a brick so that it was no longer hollow. So speaking to somebody was like, well, I think it was Becky, was just like, just the computer science, the computer science and the engineering of something as simple as a string opening and closing a mouth and a hat going up and down required me to really solve some problems of, man, my box is collapsing. You know, how am I going to fix that? So to that point, even something as simple as a little puppet like this, you could also do a puppetry unit if you wanted to talk about puppetry. This is classic puppetry stuff. But the other thing that we did is we made recycled rovers. So in our Wednesday class, we talked about how to make a rover from a hummingbird, and then we designed a little rover and we designed a maze for it to go through. So I'm going to go over there and grab that maze really quick, or grab the mouse really quick. There we go. And I just want to take a look at him so you can kind of see how he's built. So here's our little mouse rover, and I just have the mouse Velcroed on there. So here's our hummingbird. Oop, did I just turn it off? I might have. Oh, here we go. Turn it back on. So I've got the hummingbird. There's the microbit. I've got the battery pack here. And then this is just 2 motors here. So 2 rotation motors that I glued together. And when I'm done, I'll be able to just peel that hot glue off. And then here's a ping pong ball that I just glued onto the battery pack. So this is about the smallest car that you can possibly make with a hummingbird. Because of the size of the hummingbird, the size of the battery pack. But then I put a piece of Velcro right over where the hummingbird and the microbit come together. Put some Velcro on the bottom of my mouse so that I could just Velcro my mouse back on there. There we go. So now it's a mouse in a maze. Matt is going to grab the files for this guy so that you guys can code him.
It's already there.
Oh, it's already there. He actually just put that in the Zoom link. So if you guys want to pull that one up, we can figure out who would like to code our mouse in the maze. I'm going to go put it back over there. Okay. Mouse in the maze. There we go. And raise your hand. Who would like to try and code our mouse in the maze? Anybody like to give it a go? Let's see. Christy, are you set up? Do you want to try it?
I am. Let me see here if this one works.
Oh, I like this. Matt changed the lighting a little bit so the cheese is really highlighted. You really know where you're supposed to be going. This is great.
Let me see here. Okay.
So you can see Zoom, and you can also see Nets blocks, which is the coding. Okay. You want to make sure your coding thing is highlighted. And to connect to it, you're going to look at your keyboard and hit C, the letter C. All right. Does it say connected on your screen? The little black arrow.
I gotta move my Zoom thing here.
Okay. I think that's actually the hardest part of remote coding is looking at Zoom.
Connection restarted.
Okay. Yeah, perfect.
It's not connected on
Okay.
It doesn't say that it's connected on our end though. So on your keyboard, hit the X key on your keyboard and then hit C again. Does it say connected, Matt? And does yours say connected, Christy?
No, it does not.
Oh.
That's-
Did you open the second one or the first one?
Did you open the second one that he sent?
The one that's Box
Yes.
Puppet or the one that says Rover Clone?
Yeah, if you look up in the Chrome address bar, does it say Box Puppet or does it say Rover?
It said NetBlock, so it didn't
Yep.
have the whole program here. Let me. I'll recopy it.
Okay, yeah, just copy it and put it up in there again. That'll hopefully do it.
Okay.
And then it should have.
All right.
You got it
And
now?
then-
Okay, and then hit C to connect.
okay.
Does the little black
Wait.
arrow say connected?
No, I'm not. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
no,
not
that's
getting
okay.
It does say Rover up here,
Okay.
All right.
but
Give me 1 second.
Matt's working on something. Oh, I forgot you have a microphone over there now. I'm used to like interpreting what Matt is saying because we used to only have one microphone, but we have 2 now.
yeah.
Okay. Give it one more try with that letter C.
Try to hit the letter C again. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Ah, there
Now
we go.
it's connected.
That was
Great.
my fault. Sorry about
No,
that.
that was on our end. Okay. So now you can use the arrow keys to move the mouse forward, side to side. And we didn't put all the walls back up, so if it tries to go off the table, we'll catch it. So
okay, I'm gonna try to
hit the up arrow and see what
put
happens.
me down. There we go. Okay, so all right, so arrow keys.
Yeah. And make sure that your nets blocks, that the code window is active. So click on that window so that one's active. And then use your arrow keys to try and move the mouse around.
Okay, so let me go here. Okay, so this is, okay, so we're doing.
Ah, there you go. And Matt will catch it if it tries to go off the table. Ooh.
Okay.
We're going to do this butt first.
Okay, when you press the down key, okay.
That goes backwards.
Yeah, it's not moving on my board. That's why I'm like, I'm not seeing the sprite move.
No, the sprite won't move. It's just the mouse that you're controlling. It's just the mouse in the maze. So the up arrow is going to make it move, make the mouse move towards its nose. The down arrow is going to make it move towards its tail. And then
I'm trying to see here. I'm not seeing the mouse. I'm not seeing it here. So.
On our, do you see our maze?
There, now I do.
Okay.
Okay.
So now try your arrow keys.
So if I would do forward.
Now is your coding screen still active now? You might need to click on that screen again to make, there we go. All right, I tried to move.
Yeah, so I'm having trouble with that doing with the same thing as this, having the zoom up and that. So
yeah.
I'm not as...
That's okay. That can be the most challenging.
I can do one or the other, so I can't see where he's going.
He's backing up into a wall right now. Turn him to the right.
You can tell me which way to go, up or down, or what to do here. Yeah.
What do you think? How about, yeah, turn right, turn right.
Oh, I was going to say, it's hard to know exactly from the code. Like, if you go.
There you go. Uh-huh.
Okay, now, what did you just hit?
That was the right arrow.
Oh, you did right arrow? Okay. Mm-hmm. Try going up now.
Yep, go forward a little bit. There we go.
Yeah, good. Go, okay. Oh, good. Do you see it?
No, I can do the one or the other. So let me see where he moved now. It acts like on my computer, like the Zoom screen. When I have that up, it's not reacting on the other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, when you have Zoom.
Can you try minimizing your screen a little bit?
Yeah, if you can reorganize them.
I do that, but it responds like I'm on Zoom. But then I click over here, then Zoom goes down when I do that.
Oh man. Whoa.
I don't know why.
You know the yeah, go
backwards.
Yeah, go forwards. So hit your up arrow and it'll go forwards a little bit. Found a shortcut.
Yeah.
You are a great sport, Christy. This is
This is yeah.
Well,
I'm not seeing that where I'm doing that. It's fun.
Well, just to tell you guys how you can mess with the remote coding a little bit, we actually have a website where if I organize my stuff a little bit, here it is. I'm awash in cardboard where I am. So just because we just have a couple minutes left. But we've got this robotics at home site, and it was just reorganized this week. So if I go there really quick, I'll go to my split screen here, and I'll go to our robotics at home site. Bird Brain Technologies / robotics at home. Hey, look, it comes up automatically because I've been going there a lot. But so if I go here, there's remote robots, live classes, our reading list, Hummingbird at home, so you can learn Hummingbird by yourself at home or Finch at home. So if I go to remote robots, this is a pretty great page that was just set up recently where these robots that you're seeing here, if I go here and make it live, this is a robot. Oh, let me go back. This is a robot in Tom's house. So this dragon and this gnome and this flower are in Tom's house. That is a camera pointed at his wall. So if you tune in all the time live, it's a Nest Cam with the sound turned off. You might see a cat or like a child on occasion. They might knock things over and knock them down. But on this page, you can program the dragon or program the gnome. And so if you clicked on like program the dragon, you could open it up, and what this page does for you really nicely, I'll go full screen on it here for a second so you can see it better, is this screen has the code here, and it has the picture here, and it has that like, yeah, this is nice. So you can see that live webcam. So if I connected, I just hit C and it connected it. There are instructions here on how to do it, but I could click the green flag. And here's the thing about the remote coding online is that there's about a 10 to 15 second delay. So you have to kind of like count to 15 in your head and then you can see it move. But so I hit the green flag and now, oh, there we go. Now it's it's biting. Nom 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 nom. So you can program remotely at home if you go there. You could send your kids to that site too, and they could program remotely as well. But so we've got our robotics at home page, which everybody should check out. For you teachers, we also have a demo program. So, and this is free for teachers to do. Unfortunately, it's not free for just everybody. You kind of have to prove that you're a teacher with like an email address or tell us what your position is. But we have a free demo program. So if you want to try out a Hummingbird, if you don't have them yet, this is within the contiguous United States. Sorry, Katie. Sorry, Irish friend. Yeah. But when you get back to the States, it's for 60 days. You can keep that for 60 days. And if you really liked it, after those 60 days, you can actually purchase it for a 20% off too. But if you guys have any questions about anything, you can always contact us, info@birdbraintechnologies.com. And you can ask us anything. If you have ideas for collaboration and stuff, that would be awesome. And we're also on all of the social medias if you're into that kind of thing. So if you're on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, you can also reach out to us there as well. But just as a quick preview of what is coming up next week. Next week, I believe we have, I think we're doing Robot Petting Zoo, and I think we're doing Tiny Drummer. So if I go back over to our Robotics at Home website, Creative Robotics at Home, if I go to live classes, you can see there's Robot Petting Zoo and Tiny Drummer, so you can get a quick preview of what we're going to be doing there next week. And those are all free to tune into. So Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, those are our student and teacher and parent focused ones. So we make stuff and we code stuff, and kids can do remote coding that way. And then Fridays are our teacher talks ones. So on Friday we come together like this and we share ideas and spitball together and share our challenges and how we've overcome them, etc. But thank you guys so much today for joining me. This was fun. I feel very like grounded after talking with teachers for a little bit. So we're going to probably end the live stream here, but I'm available to hang out for a few more minutes. If anybody has any other questions, we'll end the live stream here. Thank you all on Facebook for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us today. We can't wait to see what you make on social media. On Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, you can tag @BirdBrainTech or #HummingbirdKit, or you can even tag me. If you have any questions, be sure to email us, info@birdbraintechnologies.com. We can answer questions about purchasing, about learning, about teaching, and about professional development. If you haven't been there yet, be sure to visit our Robotics at Home page. There you can purchase a kit for yourself, learn how to use it, and even join one of our upcoming webinars. Until we see you in class, thanks for watching from everyone at BirdBrain Technologies.